What's going on, you guys? This is Bridget Kelly, and you are locked into We Talk Weekly.
We're back. We Talk Weeklies after the talk with WPPMLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weeklies after the talk with your boy Charles Gregory and the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle.
beautiful
Classy Lady Sparkle.
and the beautiful
Lady Esther.
Man, she's back in the building, man. So without further ado, Classy Lady Sparkle, who do we have today?
Oh, today we have the beautiful Cassandra Green, also known as Miss Cass.
Miss Cass.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's a community activist, organizer, engagement specialist, cultural producer, and social practitioner with extensive experience in nonprofit business administration, project management, arts education, fundraising, creative placekeeping, all these beautiful things, asset-based capacity building and succession planning. She's worked in so many different Fortune 500s. And like I said, the biggest one is the community activist organizer, because that is what helps the community.
Right.
So y'all know what to do. Give a warm We Talk Weekly welcome to Miss Cass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome. How are you?
Hey, hi everybody. Good evening.
Fantastic. How you feeling today? How you dealing with the weather?
I was doing good earlier. I was out. The sun was shining. I was at events that thought they were going to get rained out, but happened anyway. And I was about to come see y'all in person, but
sure.
next time I hope.
Yeah,
But I'm at home and talking to y'all, so I'm good.
Yeah. Thanks for doing that. Before we get deep into the discussion, I literally want to know what keeps you empowered and keeps you going, because you do so much, right? And so sometimes I wonder, like, do you ever get tired? And how, what empowered you and encouraged you to keep on keeping on,
Oh, thanks a lot. Yeah, I guess the love. Well, first and foremost, right? My faith, right?
Yeah, sure.
I'm a believer in my faith, and understanding that everything I do and I'm able to experience and pass along or give and get is all a gift. So I operate from that perspective of it's all gifting, and I am so appreciative and grateful for it. So my faith first, and then I love my people. I love my community, and I love. I sound corny, right? But I'm living my best life.
Yes.
I give you a round of applause for that one right there. No, for sure.
So tell us a little bit about what you have coming up.
Well, I have some things. I'm making some decisions, right? Thinking about how best. I'm always thinking about capacity and succession, like it kind of says in my bio. So what I have coming up is kind of trying to think about how everything is kind of aligning right now and where I can best use, the capacity that I have, the alliances I have, my talents, and, things that have been pulled together. But now, you know how you use a Rubik's Cube and you kind of sync it up? That's my next thing, is syncing up to, where we all collectively need to have power and where I personally can insert and gain and appreciate our power. So that's kind of like where I'm at. I hope I answered your question. All right.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Ms. Cass, you spoke about community activists, and I've already seen how you are in these streets. You definitely are, you know how they say, the mother to the motherless and the auntie to the ones who don't have it, and the big sister and all of that. We have our 100th mayoral candidates coming up, and we know that Philadelphia, especially people that are natives here, knows that community is what, specifically in the Black communities, is what we need. Tell us more about what you think Philadelphia needs specifically, and what is it that we're going to be looking for from a mayor that can get us back on track for that?
I mean, well, I've been to a couple of forums so far, and definitely appreciate everybody's involvement in that space, because it's not easy. That's like grind work. So anybody that gets out there for this particular position, it's not only a grind to get in, but it's going to be a grind. If whoever gets in, it's going to be a grind. So, just hoping that folks kind of like, the folks who want to have this position and the one who may get it understand that, it's a lot going on, and, really they have to be really strategic. It's nice to have words, but thinking about the strategy they're going to use to make sure that the people's voice is heard. Because I know that we try a lot of things based on people who aren't being directly affected by specific issues. So having those people be in places that their voices are not even just heard, but they also will power and change and innovation. So, and that person got to really know that they're going to have to lean in to the problem, right? Not around it, not up it, not under it. You're going to have to lean into these issues that, we are involved in right now, but also they're going to have to lean into the possibilities of what going through things can bring out. Sometimes they say a tree comes from a seed and a fire, right? So the seed in the forest, somebody tell me this story. I know who it was exactly, Jennifer from Spiral Q says that the seed got to go under the ground, and then when it's a forest fire, that actually ignites the pine cone to grow. And so sometimes even in adversity and turmoil, something positive and powerful can come out of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, the LimFest Institute for Journalism, they released an article with a poll, and polling Philadelphians, and I believe it was 63% of Philadelphians said that they believe that the city is on the wrong track. And they also do not trust, their local politicians. So how you've been able to develop strong relationships with the Black community specifically. How is it that, our leadership in the city of Philadelphia can kind of, gain the trust of Philadelphians and, try to get Philadelphia back on the right track?
I mean, I think the expectation are you talking about Philadelphia as a whole, or are you talking about a certain demographic, or?
Well, the poll, I believe, was Philadelphia as a whole, but let's just speak, I guess, specifically for marginalized communities, especially the Black community.
Yes. So, to build trust, you have to bring your authentic self, right? And also people, it's interesting. Like, I think people have heard so much, promises, what people going to do. People, the community and people in the city are really, really smart. So, like, for an example, like the asbestos in the school, right? Like, the gentleman that just took over said, oh my gosh, like, this was cited 2 years ago that it was a problem, nothing never happened. But it's people in the city that know that we knew that it was asbestos and, you know, the condition of the school for the last 20, 25, 30 years. So, you know, like people tried to act like it was a 2-year problem, and it's been a consistent decade problem. So I think whoever, you know, people have to acknowledge the fact that build trust is, first of all, you have to do like, and I talk to people in community about this, there has to be some reconciliation where people have to say, you know what, we messed up, right? We messed up, you know, but we willing to do the work to get it right and to recover. And then after we recover, we want to definitely make sure that we have a plan to, you know, move forward, right? For prosperity and providence. So, you know, just really making sure that it's not just a one-off thing, one person, one entity thing. It's all hands on deck for this.
Absolutely.
Miss Cass, what made you get into just community activists? Like, usually it starts out when you're a kid sometimes, and, you know, I know my grandmother used to, when she cooked dinner, it was Mr. Burt down the street. It was Miss Biddy across the street. Go take them a plate. It was just that love that I saw growing up, which has always been a part of me. Is there something that, like, you knew, like, that sparked you to say, hey, I just want to help?
I mean, so you know, when I had my children, right? When they was little, like I wanted my house to be the kid house, and that was probably selfish because I wanted like to know where my kids was. That's my, you know, my kids came in when cell phones was too expensive for folks to have. So, you know, I wanted to know where my children were. So I had a kid house, but then actually my community development engagement, real activism got spurned out of this ministry. It was called the church. It's called the Church Down the Way Ministry, and it's a non-denominational ministry. It had a dynamic pastor. His name was Curtis Wallington, and he was all about making sure people had access to hope. And you know, I worked in a university, but I wasn't really out there. And I remember the first day he took me out to do door-to-door outreach. I was like, I'll do the back end stuff. I'm not trying to be out there in the front on the street. And after time, you know, hearing the word and getting built up and, you know, just inspired by the word in the way he brought it in a very authentic, down to earth way you could understand. It was very understandable to me. And I was led to embark in this territory, as I said earlier, is all a gift to me because I never saw. I was telling somebody I was in the car, and I said, I thought about it, it's like I never saw me as me.
Wow.
I never saw me. I never.
Wow.
Can you
saw
explain
me.
that a little bit further in further detail?
Like, I come from, Newark. It was like, back then it was like rough. Rough is a light word for it. Felt like, I would never get out. So that's how I wound up in Philly. And just the experiences that I have had and the people and the grace. I had like so much grace, and I had people that taught me everything I know. Some of it came like spiritually, but I had like really good people that wanted me to learn and, elevate. And I still had that in my life. And that's all a gift. And I'm actually a product of what other people have poured, what God and other people have poured into me. I'm a product of that, not so much of my own direction. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, that
I'm a surprise.
That's awesome.
absolutely. Yeah, that's powerful because unfortunately a lot of people become a product of their environment and they don't see anything outside of just that. So for you to, overcome a lot of things that, the PTSD, you have PTSD from the community and your environment. but for you to overcome that and to pour back into the community and have your faith, to get you through, that just speaks volumes of your character and who you are.
Yeah, definitely. Miss Cass, I have a question for you. You mentioned something that kind of stood out for me in terms of, your youth and how you grew up. And during that time, a lot of the leadership and political figures used to groom the young folks, right? You had like the Black Panthers and, bringing them in and the kids were, dressing up and trying to understand what politics is and leadership is, right? That said, it's a new generation that's here, right? And a lot of the new generation feel that that the leadership isn't doing that grooming, right? And so it's this disconnect that now you have, a leadership that the younger generation feel that they don't want to pass the baton, right? And groom to be in leadership positions, right? But then you have a older demographic or the leadership feeling like, the younger generation don't necessarily get it, right? And so how do we and you come from, and I say this and I'm gonna put this in context, and you come from various platforms of all generations, right? You do your community events, it's 5-year-olds there, right? You talk to kind of the leadership, the political, and you're there with the leadership already, right? The mayors, all of the, city council, you're there, you're in the mix of that. And you get the churches, you've been in there, and you get all of that, right? But in understanding all that, do you have an idea on how we can potentially bridge these generations, bridge the leadership to get them on the same page? Because I think that's where the break is happening, right? So what's your position on that? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it go back to what we were just talking about, right? Like when I went to work at University of Penn, right? I started out as a temp.
Right.
And I was a temp for a while, but then somebody taught me how to do something else. Like I never worked in accounting. I have an art background. I didn't have a business background.
Yeah.
But people taught me. They took, like, they weren't afraid. I have a mentor now, adult mentor. I think people never get too old to have mentors, and they never too young to have mentors. I think a young person can be an older person mentor. Like,
for sure.
I think that's really valuable.
I love that. Yep.
That is all reciprocal.
Right,
So
right.
that's how I operate. But I have a mentor. He's younger than me, but he talks about this scarcity, right? And it makes sense. Like if you operate in, like, the people that taught me and shared with me, they wasn't worried about me taking their job, right? Because they had whatever they had, and they didn't feel so threatened. But when you working and operating from a scarcity mindset, you kind of get more paranoid about teaching and letting things go and being looser and opening up. So you hold it so tight. But when we hold it so tight, that's a proverb, right? You hold it so tight, you don't get nothing in. You can't take nothing in. And I think that those are some practices from the past that we let go of, especially in Black and Brown and marginalized communities. Those is important traits that we can reshift our culture back to a place of humanity, but also while we use progress too. And progress come from, like I said, you guys know, like even being on the show with Eli Lou, like, I think that we all have to invest in other generations. Like even people who are 30 should be investing in the people that's 20. Yeah. People that's 20, you can invest in somebody that's in middle school. That it's always that we kind of stacking the deck for success. And how we do that is through building those relationships, because you can't wait till you're ready to roll to do that. You got to do that. It's called planning and preparation.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm glad you said that,
for
Ms.
sure.
Cass, because it seems like, and we just spoke about it with previous guests we had on how Philly supposed to support Philly, but they have a mindset that once you get what you want and you leave, they don't come back to help Philadelphia. And I think that that's changing now, like you mentioned with Eli and Lou, and even some of the bigger names like Kevin Hart, like they are starting to say let's give back to this community.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't, if that doesn't happen, like it's kind of like Wake Up Time, right? What's that Spike Lee movie when it's like Wake Up?
Yeah, wake up. Yeah.
Because if we don't wake up and do that, we're not gonna have it.
Yeah. How about that?
Like somebody gonna else come and get it.
How about that? Yeah, definitely. That's yeah, you hit that right. And one of the things I always say, which is very similar, is if you don't tell your story, someone else will. And they'll tell it in a way that may not necessarily be the way that you want them to tell it, right? And so it's important for us to hold and have our own narratives and make sure that those stories are clear. You mentioned the arts, right? And we talk weekly, as you know, I'm an advocate of the arts. We talk weekly as an advocate of the arts because that's where we come out of, right? What we do in supporting the arts, from radio, television, and film to creative arts, I believe Philadelphia excels when it comes to that. Why is it that you're so supportive of that, so much so that you do a yearly event, summer event that's literally supporting those creatives that's within the arts?
So, as an artist, right, it took a long time, when I was younger. Of course, I wanted to grow up and be the next Georgia O'Keeffe or mahogany fashion designer or whatever, but that's not what I was dealt. I wound up in accounting and business. But I wanted to always work in an art institution, and I got to work at Institute of Contemporary Art. And what I learned was that it was all these careers in art that was surrounded and connected to the arts, that I never ever knew about. And I went to art school on Saturday. I went to an art high school, but it was so many. I didn't know makeup was like, I knew I liked makeup, but I didn't know makeup was an art,
Yeah.
Like it was all these ways you can make money, right? And that's the blessing I had working at ICA. It's a part of University of Penn, so I worked in an art environment while I got paid and had benefits for me and my children. And so, that's my role in saying, is making sure people, know that there's option. It's wonderful to do art for art's sake, but artists have to be able to make a living. And I'm definitely, committed to dispelling that you have to be this quote unquote romanticized starving artist to be quote unquote an artist. Artists should make money, as some artists do. And I'm very, very much committed through fine art, through our eyes, and the work I do in the arts is that, who lifts you up, and we as community should be able to lift up who we want to lift up and make sure they're okay, opposed to having some other people lift us up, right? We can lift each other up in that space. And also that the work I do in community and in activism, I tell people I do that from an art perspective. I'm always thinking about, I look at some things like a blank canvas and how you want to put all these, elements on it. Is going to be paint? Am I doing a collage? Like, what am I going to get? And I'm always trying to see how we can create a masterpiece, but it's like in 3D. It's in community. So I approach even my community work from an art perspective.
Nice. Ms. Cass, what do you do for your outlet? You have so many things that you have doing, and then so many people pulling from you when you just need to recharge for yourself. And I know that it's your faith too, but what's another outlet that helps you to stay recharged, to keep giving back?
So I do I get hooked on those, what's those little miniseries things. I watch crazy TV. I like that. Them little mini. I get hooked. I go in the rabbit hole with them. Yeah, that's bad. I hate it sometimes. And then my granddaughter got a dog like a year ago Christmas.
Nice.
So he's not my dog, he's my granddaughter's dog, but I have his picture on my phone. And I love Milo. We all in love with this little black chihuahua. Like
Oh, that's your great grand. That's what that is.
that's my great
That's
granddog.
right.
Great grand dog.
And then,
Absolutely.
I kind of like, one of the things I really enjoy is I'm very fortunate. I live near a playground. So I could just chilling for me is if I'm seeing the kids playing and like today the ice cream truck came, they was happy.
Nice.
I see those children happy. That bring me such joy.
Oh, awesome. And I could feel it when you start speaking about it. Like I could just, I don't know, when you were just explaining the things that bring you joy, I could hear the joy as you told us.
Yeah, and I think too, like, like even in the joy of my work is that like I like it when like you get somebody that's like totally not down or resistant to art or community or people, whatever, and changing people's mind. I get a super charge out of that. If I could like just change somebody's mind to be like, oh, okay, oh, I'm good.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So
But I think I just wanted to say, when you asked me about what kind of drives me
yeah,
and the grind, and I just wanted to say too, like I think, and I don't know, I can't tell. Like I think it's people that have had lived experiences. If we center on them, that's what drives me. Like, because I've been in situations where I knew somebody that was in a situation. I might meet somebody that's in a situation. If I can kind of invoke that experience in my own way, that keep me grinding, right? And then other people say, I'll be like, yeah, like I understand that. And if I'm talking to somebody and their experience, not my experience, but I want to really hear and listen and understand that experience. So then you can operate out of that. That's a part of my grind. And I would just encourage the candidates, like just keep, remembering that if y'all, you know, if you lived in a house and y'all had to eat whatever, eat cereal with a fork, then just remember how that felt.
yeah.
Yes.
That's
Oh,
right.
God.
And that'll help you do right by the people.
See,
Yes.
what you're saying right now is something that hit home. We had the opportunity to have the commissioner on, and a lot of what he said echoed pretty much your sentiment in that, just pretty much keep it real with the people, right? And also hold them accountable, right? It was a few people who we reached out that, we didn't get any callbacks, right? And then we had a lot of people who actually came on the show and like, yo, gosh, I love what you guys are doing. And so we're always for one thing we say that we're we don't take sides, right? What we do, however, is support the people who we actually see out there, seeing those streets, seeing those communities, and support some of the initiatives that we support, like the arts, right? And so. That said, is there anyone, or because I don't want to put you on a spot on choosing just one person, right? But are there any people in the running that you say I believe these are the candidates that may be better for the community, or that I see may be successful in being in a leadership position like the mayor?
Well, I mean, I actually can't, speak to that
Yeah.
specifically. Now I really can't like say
Yeah.
specifically anyone
Yeah.
directly, right? Um, but like I think we have to just ask folks to, kind of get aligned, right? Like,
Yeah.
especially if it's a particular party or
Yeah.
something, and you think about alignment, right? Like, because sometimes it's like I feel like we're aligned, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you guys reached out to me. I came. We
100%.
having this, conversation. I'm
100%.
I'm getting something and feeling your energy, and I'm hoping you feeling mine. So there is some alignment. And
Right.
what you even said about, I'm not throwing shade on anyone that did not answer your call. But the people that did answer your call, there's alignment in that, and that's power.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. Yes.
I love that.
So, it's all about if people think it's an I or if they think it's a we.
I love
Because we talk weekly, right? There you go.
That's right.
That's a great. I love that. I'm gonna steal some of that, and I'll give you your credit. But I love you've been dropping some sound bites on that. But we love you here, and you're always be. Go ahead.
I just had a quick question. I know that you. I love and admire that you love giving back to the community, and you love giving people their flowers. You have the annual MCCP Hip Hop and Jazz Fest, which we have had the opportunity to be there. I wasn't there; I was sick, unfortunately. But you've honored so many great people. You had. Freeway.
Yeah, for sure.
Freeway performed. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and what was the idea and the thought in that, putting that together initially and then having it be annually?
Yeah, for sure.
So, well, I organize festivals. I organized the Lancaster Avenue Jazz and Arts Festival for many, many years, and I also organized a street sovereignty festival for 52nd Street with the Philadelphia Museum of Art. It was the Philadelphia Assemble exhibition. So that I do organize festivals. And so I had been thinking about, I say, these festivals that we do down in Saunders Park are great, but how would that happen like on the block in the hood? And I had always wanted to do that, but I also had this idea around jazz and doing jazz under the stars. But then, like I said, I try to not operate from my eye place. And I was talking to some partners, which included Eli Lou and this gentleman, Derek Pratt, one of my brothers in progress, I call them. And we were talking, and they was like, well, what about hip hop? Because we want to make sure we have an intergenerational audience. So that decision to make blend jazz with hip hop came from us being at the table together, and how most importantly, not just celebrate the arts, but also that we were able to figure out how to make it intergenerational, and that's how the hip hop component came to be on it. And we wanted to do it, in the neighborhood. And we wanted, the main thing too is that we wanted to have the same type of feeling of excellence like we get on the Parkway, right? At Welcome America and stuff. We wanted that in our neighborhood. And so that was our goal for the last 2 years. I'm sure it'll be a third year. Hopefully we have we have great partners we work with, and just like exploring how we can always stretch it a little more. Like last year, I think there was 72 people performed. I mean, it was a lot of people. So just keep, stretching it out, making it bigger and better, and bringing in that combined, those combined talents, ideas, and creativity together.
That's dope. So, Ms. Cass, I definitely want you to piggyback on that and talk a little bit more about MCCP. I want you to tell everybody about MCCP, which stands for Mill Creek Community Partnership, because you started. Ms. Cass is the one is like creator, founder of MCCP, and this actually was birthed from the church down the way, I was told. So I don't really know that. So tell us that story, and then tell us, the mission of MCCP. I want to shed some light on that organization right now, and let us know how we can support and assist and partner, or whatever it is that you guys have going on next.
Yeah, so MCCP was founded, I say co-founded because, it was myself and my pastor, Reverend Curtis. So Reverend Curtis passed 11 years ago. So basically it keeps his legacy going also, right? And what was really important to him was that this particular ministry, as I said, non-denominational, it was important that everybody had access, no matter where you were. You come as you are, like there was no barriers to keep you from, learning and having a personal, intimate relationship with God for yourself. And he wanted to make sure that we had like a system to do that in, because not everybody would feel comfortable entering through, quote unquote, the church, right?
Got it. Okay.
The church, organized religion, right? So that's how, and I was working, and I had never done it before. Started a nonprofit, but I went to the Penn Netter Center, went to those classes. Penn Law School helped us write the application for MCCP, and that's how it was birthed. And then in tangent with that, I started Fine Art Through Our Eyes, which is our art program, community arts initiative, which is centered around contemporary art and lifting up creative placekeeping and artists of color. And so,
Awesome.
it's been 18 years since we started Mill Creek Community Partnership. It's definitely outgrown just Mill Creek, which is a community in West Philly, but we extend throughout West Philadelphia now, and even it has done work in Kensington and all over the city. So it's kind of outgrown just that idea of just being in one neighborhood. And what we have found, a part of what, as I mentioned earlier, that capacity building, right? Like it was really birthed in the mission was that we did not want to duplicate services, but we definitely wanted to be a catalyst for change.
Okay.
And be supportive and just go into places and rooms and discover things that may, we feel like we shut out of, and also that haven't been like investigated more. And so Pastor Curtis had been all over the world. The influences I had being in, contemporary art, elite art environments, University of Penn, all of that came out and said, how do we make sure that we give other people access to that information, those materials, and uplift the work that's already happening on the ground. So, I've been thinking about MCCP a lot. It's trajectory a lot lately, and really feeling like that we have done that concept of being a catalyst for change. When we started, it wasn't a lot of Black and brown nonprofits, right? And now, like, it's a lot of them. It's like, it's a lot of nonprofits, and I'm super excited about them. Like, people I know or people I always wanted to start one have started them. People have started businesses, and, however small amount or, larger way we may have been involved in supporting or inspiring people to do that. Like, that's really what it has, the intention of it was and is. It's about access. And so what's next with it, looking to see, it needs to be only where it can help build capacity and succession, right? Because that's what they say about nonprofits. If you really into this work at a deep level, we should always be trying to work ourselves out of business. And not have people always having to be like, beholding and right. That's it, right? Is we in scarcity or we want to get to abundance? So we want to, MCCP is all about seeing how we can be a part of building abundance.
And MCCP is definitely known all throughout the city now. It has definitely grown way past Mill Creek, and we have you to thank for that. And I thank you just for even creating it to give folks an outlet and somewhere to go and a place to continue to help our community. And even the art program is amazing, shedding light on the art of our community and lifting up, the Black artists. So that's been phenomenal and just within itself.
Yeah,
Thank you, Stacey. Yeah. I appreciate it.
For sure. We're always going to support you here. We Talk Weekly. We had the opportunity to pretty much cover and stream the entire event. We had the ability to interview Freeway and amongst everyone. And when I say everyone, everyone was there. And I was so surprised to see the gradation of, the people, the different people, the variety of people, the rainbow of people, and to underscore not only jazz but the hip hop piece. And everyone is always scared to, well, hip hop is going to bring bad people in the community,
Yeah.
but literally everyone was there and just had a beautiful time, no issue at all. Right. So that says a lot about, the overthinking of people within the communities as if they can't do the right thing, right? And so kudos to you in the work that you're doing, and that We Talk Weekly will always be there, especially to support Miss Cass. Everybody love Miss Cass for sure. So before we let you go, why don't you tell everyone how they can find more about Mill Creek, about some of the things that you're doing? How can they contact you? And because all the stuff you do, I think I'm gonna ask you for a job. I need a job, But yeah, how can they contact you? All that good old stuff. Yeah.
So we do have a website. It's called mccpcommunity.com. And the art bus will be out in a couple of weeks, so you could tag into the art bus. We have a mobile art classroom that goes, we do some events. We try to do community events, at no cost or really a small nominal cost. But we do have a traveling mobile art classroom, and it's also available for events and things like that. So we'll be at the HBCU event over at the Man. Art bus will be there. I'm I'm just kind of like looking at where the peripheral is right now. So I'm like going to just shout out, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please do.
Yes.
I got to shout out, because it's all about that succession, right?
That's right.
I got to shout out the Film Factory.
Yes.
Yes, they are having a camp in Mantua in partnership with We Embrace Fatherhood.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
For sure.
And they're going to show, our youth how to make film and all those careers. Remember, I talked about those careers. It's a whole plethora of careers in filmmaking that our children may just not know about. They may be thinking they can only be like the star when they could be like, do all this other stuff and make money while they get to being the star.
Right.
So I want people to support that. It's a pilot. We need to build it out so that when the films come here to be made, the people in Philly can get them jobs.
Yeah, I know that's right.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Ms. Cass, because we're going to be starting they're going to be starting sign-ups soon, so children can sign up for the pilot program to attend.
Yeah, I think it's August 3rd. They want them to sign up. By April 3rd.
April 3rd. Classes will start in May. And yours truly will be teaching the assistant director's class. So, so thank you all for your support. Thank you, Ms. Cass. But yeah, we definitely want to get the children involved. So if any of you know of any children that would be interested in learning filmmaking and script writing, yes, please reach out. We'll also share the information on our platform or how they can sign up.
Absolutely. And then the new church down the way is actually having a Easter event next Sunday at 4234 Ogden Street from like 1 to 4. And people who can't make it there next Sunday can also go to Mill Creek Playground at 47th and Brown. There's a big event there. And it's a lot going on. So, let's get the children out, families, building our own, we have our community traditions. Let's do that.
It's spring now. So
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure. Real quick, though, you mentioned something that I was unaware. The art bus. Can you go a little bit more into that in detail? Because this is the first I'm hearing about the art bus. That sounds interesting.
Yeah. So, I had this idea that it's all about access. Like you guys will get sick of me here saying that word, right? Making things accessible, right? Like why I gotta go somewhere, why some things like that was the premise. That's how I was trained with outreach, right? Outreach isn't about people coming to you. It's about going out to them.
Right.
That's how I was trained to do community activism. And so in order to do that with art, I was like, wow, it'd be dope to get a bus and retrofit it. And I had thought about it for years, but then I wrote a grant and I got it. And I was talking to this dude that I wanted to take this grant, buy a airport shuttle bus or a bus and have it retrofitted and be this mobile art classroom that we could take fine art through our eyes, not from a building to the block. And I met this guy, Sadekio from Traction Company. He was like, well, Philadelphia Museum of Art got this thing and it's a meeting bus. And he said, you should talk to them. And I talked to them. Jana is back in Netherlands. And the exhibit was over and it was like, well, what are we going to do with this portable meeting room? It was, it had a film. You could show a film, sit on it, meet, all of that, and write on it and everything. And when the exhibition closed, Philadelphia Museum of Art gifted it to MCCP.
Wow.
And so we said, it go back to legacy, right? We felt like not only did it give us an opportunity, and we had the gentleman do the retrofitting again to make it more of an art classroom, but it was like we felt responsible also to keep that legacy going, because that particular exhibition highlighted all the communities in Philadelphia that had never been done. All the communities came together and brought artists, writers, culinary artists, all of that together in an exhibition. And we feel like we're a part of keeping that legacy going. It's a couple other places that are still active in that space, but we used the art bus to lift up Philadelphia Assembled and all that it did with the sovereignty and all the other elements of that show, and also bring art to the ground and to the block. It's a couple of other people got mobile art programs now too, so that's good. We hope we inspire somebody else to do that. Because that's what we learned in COVID. We was popping in COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I say the art bus was everywhere in COVID. And so a couple of years ago, I had these graffiti artists came and, it was like, wow, we had it, how it looked from Philadelphia Assembled, but let it be also a traveling piece of artwork. So we had 3 artists work on it and they did a dope job and, just blinged it out. And so the goal is every 2 years that we'll have another group of artists come and redesign it, and the bus is actually a work of art.
I love that. Next time you do, maybe, I guess once that 2-year come up and they start to paint that, call us out. We'll start to stream and show that whole process. I think that would be great to amplify the message and get that out there. But also, we'll be reaching out. I just got a confirmation today actually that I might be doing another fashion show the second week of August. Maybe we can bring out that art show back in. That art bus, have it right next to that, amplify that too, let's get them all out. But I just want to say I appreciate you again, and thanks for that information. I think that it would be I think what you're doing is just amazing, and I think if everyone got that memo, that it's enough out there for everyone, right? If everyone got that memo, I think we'll be in better shape and stop hoarding and holding tight the reins that they can't share, right? And I think what you're doing is an excellent blueprint as to how to succeed in not only culture, but in culture and community for sure. Yeah. So thank you for your service. Thank you for all you do. And thanks for continuing being an advocate, especially for not only the community, but for the arts, because that's what we do. I mean, literally. And without the arts, you think it's crime now. If they took the arts out of Philly will be in trouble, right? And that's our outlet. That's how we communicate our messaging through our art form, right? And so thank you so much. And is there any last words you want to say to the community, to the people, to the viewers?
I do have 2 things. One thing also around the arts, right? And the work that you all are doing and other artists and visionaries are doing. this is my third time saying it in the last couple of weeks, is that, and we also had to be very intentional about how we build commerce and respect in Philly, so that we could keep our artists such as yourselves and our creatives in Philly, right? It's been my understanding, I've talked to them, not all of them, but some of them, and the younger ones are saying they have to roll out because they getting at a ceiling in Philly.
Yes.
And the ceiling is pretty low. It's not even like a high ceiling.
Yeah.
And so we have to be more intentional about that, because as our talent is cultivated, we can't share art with the expectation that, our kids can't get jobs or not being educated and we don't have opportunities. So to keep that flow going, we got to find some way to keep our artists here and make sure that they thriving. So that's one thing. And, just before we go tonight, I just had to say, because I'm spirit, right? There's a young woman, and I know this week is coming up, and I know it's a lot of people who are out in our community right now. And this is in reference to one of the little boy. He was 13. He got shot around the corner on 49th and Hoops, like that first week in April last year. And it's just been really in my spirit. And his mom, he had some brothers, and just, we got to help folks. I've just been thinking about her a lot, and him. Yeah. And I just want us to just think about, like, what happens after the fact, a year in, and wow. Like, so, let's just send prayers and energy. I've been sending it to her and anyone else I know that may have lost a child or someone close to them through the violence. Yeah. But if we could just be empaths for them, to, if it's somebody or just a story you remember, to just keep them in your heart and on your mind, because I don't want to know and I can't imagine, but I just been feeling her, and I needed to just put it out there verbally, the energy that I'm let's pray for her. Yeah.
100%. Amen. Yeah. Amen.
Let's pray for her. He was a baby. He was a baby.
Yeah. Yeah. We gotta. Yeah, Philly.
Pray for Philly.
Pray for Philly. Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks, Miss Cass, and I appreciate you for doing it, because I'm sure not only that family, but for those who may be watching this, that may affect and others who may be going through similar situations, because the young gentleman who was shot, in down the bottom, it's another gentleman who was shot in North Philly, and another one who was shot in West Philly and Overbrook, and it's a lot of, this toxic kind of energy that has been happening in Philadelphia that I believe can pivot if the right people are, using your word, intentional, right, in fixing that, not just pontificating about it, right? And so thank you for all that you do. And, We Talk Weekly is always here. One thing real quick, I know I said I was going to let you go, but one thing that you said that really stood out to me was the idea of having to support the artist, right? Because when you talk about a glass ceiling, We Talk Weekly has reached one, right? And the idea of what's going to keep us here, because it's people sniffing, right? And it's kind of like, well, what's going to keep us in Philly if that's what we've been doing, amplifying Philly, but then someone come, say, for example, New York or North Carolina, and say, yo, we can really use y'all, in down south, because we love y'all energy, but the love isn't here in Philadelphia. Not saying that it's not there, because I don't want to, put out that bad energy, but what I am saying is, we do need people in those leadership positions that's actually understanding that concept of glass ceiling, these artists, and this is the reason why they're leaving. And if you're not supporting, then they're gone, And so that's something I just wanted to put out there. And thanks for kind of mentioning that, because we've been.
What it's like, Charles? It's kind of like almost like artistic and cultural gentrification.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
Yep.
Gotta be careful. We gotta stay woke, right?
Yeah, jeez, that was
Somebody else will come in, like, yo, like.
Never thought of it in that way.
yeah, that was heavy.
Yeah.
Miss Cass dropped them bombs. I
I
might
know
have
that
to take
was a
that.
bomb.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that one from you too.
That was deep. That was
Yeah,
deep.
that was yes.
Round of applause for Miss Cash, y'all.
Thank you, Miss
Thank you,
Cass.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Thank y'all.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's one thing we always say: once you're a friend to the show, you're always welcome to come back. But you're not a friend; you're the family. You know, you know, you're the family. So you're always welcome to come on. And anything you're doing, you know, We Talk Weekly got you. You already know. You already know. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, you know, we got the sizzle, Miss Cash, y'all.